the people's choice.
Government officials insist that this is an isolated incident. We will continue to keep you informed as this story unfolds.
Calling all units. Calling all units. Calling all units.
Well, I was asleep
How can you sleep through that?
until the siren comes on,
Wakes you up real quick, doesn't it?
and I'm ready to roll, baby. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm just okay. You know why?
Why is that?
I'm going to tell you anyway. Because we love doing this, right?
Sure.
I know I do. And I love being in the spotlight. Some would say, Trey, that I enjoy attention.
You enjoy listening to yourself.
Maybe that too. But now that we're kind of in the public eye, worldly, you would say, I've been getting feedback about every little thing that we do and everything that I do on the show.
Yeah.
And you know how I always say, like, oh, we welcome feedback. Any feedback, just tell us. I'm not so sure.
I'm tired of the feedback.
I'm just kidding. We want feedback. What happened here recently was that just a few hours ago, actually, because the last show just came out today, actually. And since so many people flocked to it immediately,
Right.
I was given a bit of feedback. And apparently, this person tells me that the www dot part of a web address is not needed anymore and hasn't been needed for like 10 years.
No shit.
It's like not cool to have.
To say the www.
For that, it's for that reason.
Yeah. I don't sound cool.
She, I'll say it's a she. You see if you can figure it out based on a 50-50.
Well, of course it's a she.
Of course it's she. She told me that it was something that there were multiple reasons, and I didn't read them all. I mean, a lot of them seemed unnecessary. But there were... It takes up time to say. It's hard to say.
Yes. I can believe
apparently, the computer lingo is that there's something that registers on the site if you punch in the www, and it takes a little split second longer to do something. And I lost her. I mean, she lost me.
Really?
I was like, you don't need to tell me anything else. How about I just don't do it? And
So no more www.
no more. You will not hear that from us. We are cool. She said the cool factor would be apparent.
We definitely need some coolness.
So now that we don't say www, we have become cooler.
Now we're cool.
I don't know how much cooler, but here we are. The other thing is that immediately everybody's told me, and I'll try not to be this way this evening, you picky bastards. I just called them, our listeners, picky bastards. But apparently I was talking slowly on the last episode.
Really?
And somebody said, well, you know, it sounded like you had a couple drinks. Well, guess what? I did have a couple of drinks. And I don't know what that means. I thought the content was pretty good. I thought we offered some great ideas. And if I slurred a long 8-syllable word, I'm sorry. I might do that without having a couple.
Yeah, I definitely would too.
So those are the things that are lingering as I came onto the show. So I'm just okay. But now, you know what? I vented. I'm great. I'm ready.
Anything I need to do better?
No, I think you're just about perfect, my man. Right? Don't you feel that way?
I don't, but I appreciate you saying that.
That's funny. You don't. You should feel good about yourself. Anyway, so I saw this on Twitter today,
What is Twitter?
And
Just kidding.
it was like a question, of this or that. Will you do this or that? And they were basing it on the Matrix, like red pill or blue pill.
Okay.
So if you took a red pill, you would start back at age 6 in your life
Okay.
with all the knowledge that you have up to this point.
Got it.
If you took the blue pill, you would get $10 million cash, and that was it.
Okay, so red pill start over age 6.
Know everything you know now about the world.
The world. Okay. And the blue pill, $10 million.
There's $10 million,
you're done.
Flat rate.
Oh,
cash.
I would absolutely take the red pill in a heartbeat.
The first one.
Yes.
Because that was my thought. I was hoping we'd differ. But my thought is, unless you have the same thought, you'd like to speak over me for once.
Well, my thought is if you have all the knowledge you do now, then you're going to make way more
Sure,
than $10
you could
million.
invest, you could whatever.
Absolutely.
I guess the question is, I guess if I was maybe 25, I would take the blue
10
pill.
million, yeah.
Because I still have a whole life and I'd have 10 million and I can invest and do all these things. But if you're at this age, do you want to go back and spend all the time? I mean, you start at 6.
Yeah.
I mean, you still got to wake up for Little League. I mean, even though you know,
Oh, I would love it.
I guess that would be kind of
I
cool,
would love
wouldn't it? With that
I
energy.
would take it more seriously. Pick up a golf club.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, you could redo a lot of things. In fact, I'll do a selfless plug here. If anybody's read my first book called As Whispers Fly,
I thought it was the fat snake.
well, The Fat Snake was my first short story,
Oh, okay.
if you will. The first novel I wrote, and it wasn't traditionally published, so I've got it. If anybody wants to inquire now, I'm selling myself. But that was a lot of the premise, was the ability to go back, except that in this case it was him trying to interact with his 8-year-old self to try and change some of the decisions that he made because he knows that he ended up messed up. Anyway.
Man, that would be so cool. Just thinking of all the stuff. I mean, I would definitely take school a lot more seriously.
Sure,
than I
you
did.
redo a lot of things. Oh, I have a whole, what's funny is,
health.
like, my parents would probably be like, yeah, he has a lot of things he could do differently.
But I guess also, what wouldn't you change? I mean, your band
Sure.
days.
Well, maybe a little bit. Maybe I do it differently. But that's the thing, is that, you likely wouldn't, I'm not going to hunt out. My wife wasn't even born when I was 6 years old.
Right.
I'm not going to hunt her down and be like, we're supposed to be married. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a bad movie plot.
Brings up Hot Tub Time Machine.
Right.
He calls, what was
Yeah.
it? The 6-year-old, his 6-year-old wife at the time.
Yes.
And, yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah. No. I mean, that's exactly it. And so I just thought that question, I saw it. I said, I need to ask Trey tonight. And anybody, of course, listening, if you want to email us.
I would absolutely do the 6-year-old. Go back.
Yeah. You would do the 6-year-old.
Sorry, that was bad.
You take the red pill.
I would take the red pill.
Okay. That sounds
And
better.
go back to being
I just thought
a
that
6-year-old.
was a good question. I mean, either option's not a bad option.
No, not at all. 10 million though, this day and age, is that
Well,
still a lot of? I mean, I guess that's a lot of money.
It just depends. I mean,
Is that life changing
you
money?
invest, you invest half of it, and
You're good.
I mean, I would think so, but what do I know?
Is that considered life changing money these days? You think?
I think 10 mil is life changing. It depends on what kind of. I mean, you're not going to go from nothing to 18 homes and
Yeah, that's true.
whatever private
I
jets.
guess if you're
and
not
stuff.
stupid about it, yeah.
Yeah, you need more than that to own a private jet, but you don't need more than that to have a really, really nice house in the best areas of a city.
Right. I don't need every color of a Lamborghini or
Right.
anything like that.
You could get one Lamborghini,
One Lamborghini.
maybe 2. So that was a good question.
That is
But-
fun.
So, do you remember me talking the last show? I hope so. About Miss Anneka Svenska.
Oh, was that the woman that likes to howl with wolves?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I do remember that.
She howls with the wolves, but I think there's more to it. I think she actually cuddles with
She
them,
sleeps with wolves.
next to them, and lets them lick her face. And
That's so-
good for them. Good for those wolves. Because as I mentioned, she is quite the attractive woman. And so I reached out to her.
Did you?
I did.
That's
I mean,
pretty funny.
I haven't received any response, but I
I'm not
did.
surprised.
I did multiple platforms and multiple formats. I tried to ask her if there was a way we could come see the wolves. I mean, I was genuinely curious.
Right, we want to see the wolves.
Chances are we're going to come off a little bit
Creepy?
creepy or aggressive, or whatever. But she's got more notoriety than I thought, by the way.
Interesting.
She does some TV show stuff, and she's got like 500,000 followers and things like that. But I reached out to her, and because there's a place over there, in case you want to know, in Norway called Polar Park.
Polar Park, okay.
Polar Park. I mean, alliteration at its finest. Polar Park is a Norwegian wolf park.
Really?
So you could, I guess, schedule an appointment. I don't know.
Does PETA know about this?
Yeah. No, I think it's because they treat them really well, but you're right. That's kind of, I don't know. Maybe we need to ask PETA their opinion.
There's a place over here called Wolf Burger. Is that?
Yeah, you might want to check.
Is that going to be frowned upon?
You might want
there?
to look into it.
Okay.
But so we go in there and just basically hang out with the wolves, and I thought this is our opportunity. So I reached out on Twitter to Anneka, our friend,
Because we want to hang out with the wolves, right?
Well, I'd like to hang out with the wolves no matter what, but I'd really like to hang out with the wolves and Anneka.
And her.
Because of her expertise.
The knowledge.
I mean, she clearly has a hold on this.
Has wolf knowledge.
Wolf knowledge. And honestly, no joke, or all jokes aside, when I'm dealing with a pack of wolves, I do want an expert.
Absolutely.
So as hot as she is,
Yes, sir.
she's still an expert. So we'll see. I mean, I tweeted at her. I've just learned how to do
At
Twitter.
her.
At her name, and asked her if this was a legit wolf park or if she had a better idea.
I was thinking about this Wolf Burger place that you just mentioned. It's really good. So anyway.
I'm pretty sure Anneka's not. Well, we just lost her. If she ever listens to this for some strange
Not a
reason.
fan of Wolf Burger.
We think she's not going to listen, but turns out she's like, you know what? I'm going to go
give
ahead
it
and
a
listen
shot.
to these guys. And you're talking about wolf burgers. But, so she is
An attractive
woman, like very, very attractive. And it was one of those things where when I saw the article and clicked on it and looked, I honestly did a whoa, like, oh my goodness.
Whoa.
But, I mentioned it to my wife, in all fairness. And
Is she on your list of 5 now?
who I would sleep with if I met him.
Right.
We haven't really done that list because mine's ever revolving.
Yes.
But my wife just laughs at me. She just kind of goes, if you think you can get her,
Get to the wolf lady.
you know what? Go ahead. She goes, I that's fine.
Yeah.
And that, I don't know whether that makes me excited or mad that my wife thinks that
She has no confidence.
there's no confidence
You
there.
should turn around and say, you know what, babe? I got you.
That's true. Well, I did.
So anything is possible.
Anything's possible. But so I'm hoping that Anneka replies and that we have an opportunity to go out there and that she suggests something other than the Polar Park, that she might have a private tour lined
Something
up.
more intimate.
Something more intimate, maybe. Only for one of us. You might just stay at base camp. I'm assuming there's a base camp.
She'll allow us to caress a more personal
Right.
collection of wolves.
But anyway, I thought that was fun. That's a fun deal. And when we start doing our world travels, Norway and the wolves are on the list.
Well, before we leave this, is there anything else that's part of this polar park, or is it just strictly the wolves?
I think it's, from what I understand, it's strictly part of the wolves, and
Okay.
it's it kind of, it would still be cool because they're wolves. And Anneka posted, I'm like on a first name. She posted a picture that I was looking at on her page of a comparison between a husky dog
Okay. Yep.
and a wolf, and it's insane. I had
similar?
no idea. No,
not similar at all.
difference.
Okay.
I had no idea that true wolves are that much bigger.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you're talking about a husky, and this thing its face was up to, its snout was up to like the shoulder.
Oh, so
It's crazy.
it's a bigger dog.
Because apparently, not to go off on this, but apparently there was a trophy hunter who, I'm not for trophy hunting at all. I'm just going to get that out there. I'm not going to like yell at you for it. I'm not going to go protest.
Just not a fan.
But I'm not a fan because I actually feel for the animals. And so there was a woman that is a trophy hunter, and of course Anneka is not happy about this,
Right.
Because she showed pictures of what she thought she was killing a wolf. Well, either way, it was bad, but it was a husky. It was a dog.
Wow.
Because I thought this was a wolf. Well, she skinned this thing
Holy crap.
and posted pictures of it, and of course, obviously, that bothered me much less the lovely Anneka, our close friend, who is just absolutely loves these animals.
And PETA.
And PETA. I mean, PETA's probably just, they all drop dead from heart attack. But so to me, that's
crazy.
Yeah. So I'm fascinated by wolves and their pack mindset and all that. So it'd be fun.
That would be
Let's
a fun
put it on
trip.
the list. So Nigeria, and then Norway with the wolves.
Norway with the wolves.
So that's number 1 and 2, and we'll hit up some other
Figure
spots.
something
We'll figure
out,
it out.
yeah.
I mean,
Still waiting to blow up in North Korea too. So,
well, we forgot about that. We were trying to keep hush hush about that.
Oh, that's right.
For a reason. But if we blow up over there, we may have to go rescue some people. Apparently,
visit and rescue.
Rescue. We are prepared for that. So let's get serious. You ready?
About what?
Let's get serious about. There's a story. It's another one it's tough, and but it's perfect for what we do, which is kind of try and analyze. Well, when I say analyze, I mean, talk for the layman person. The situation and what happened. I think it was about a week ago, and everybody probably knows by now, or at least has heard the name Jordan Neely. And Jordan Neely was a 30-year-old homeless man in New York City. And he actually, a while back, was a Michael Jackson impersonator. So he'd like do shows in the streets and moonwalk and all that.
Okay.
But this man apparently was on a subway and yelling at people. The part that is indisputable was that he was yelling at people. What exactly he was yelling is kind of, I've read both, but he was he was asking for money. And he was saying things like, he literally said, and this was also quoted by every news source, "I don't mind going to jail and getting a life sentence. I'm ready to die."
That's what he was yelling.
That's what he's yelling.
Okay.
So what does that mean? To me, if you're going to get a life sentence, that means you're going to kill somebody? Like, why else would you get a life sentence?
Well, it sounds like, yeah, anybody yelling something like that, they're ready to be violent. Yeah, that's what I would assume.
Well, and you see, he appeared like a crazy man on the subway, and I don't mean to get to start labeling, but they're there and they're frightening. It's frightening. I don't want to ride the subway in New York City because of guys like this.
Right.
And so a lot of the passengers felt threatened, and so there's a former Marine named Daniel Penny, and I'm trying not to give too much detail because most people again know this. This Marine felt like this was a threat to the other passengers. And so he got this guy in a kind of a chokehold, like you like the wrestling stuff, the WWF and whatever that is.
Yeah,
I mean, it was kind of reminding me of like a sleep hold. So he took this guy to the ground, and then other people were actually trying to restrain his arms and things like that, and they were just
trying to subdue
him. Like,
yeah.
Look, and he was wrestling back, and it was all whatever, and it was but it was something that a lot of the passengers on this rail said afterwards, like, we actually were really, really happy that he did that because we were fearful.
Right.
We didn't know what was going to happen. This guy's screaming all kinds of stuff, and he's clearly mentally has some issues.
Yes.
And so the guy took him down, and the final count, based on video evidence, was that he had him in a hold for 2 minutes and 55 seconds.
Okay.
Which is a decent amount of time, but it's not ridiculous, in my opinion, after assessing it from a professional standpoint, like myself. But there are others that are now they're known to be lying, or they're stretching it. They're saying it was 15 minutes that he did this. And I think what that was 15 minutes from the beginning of the incident to the time that help arrived.
That makes more sense.
After people called,
Yeah.
which is a long time, in my opinion. I think it took like 10 minutes for somebody to get there for these calls. And so other people, of course, then you've got passerbys, people passing by that were saying, you better, ease up because if he dies, apparently he defecated on himself. And that's maybe a sign that you're dying. I thought it was once you've actually died that happened. But apparently they're saying, look, he's about to die because this happened. And some people are like, no, he's just homeless and drugged out or has issues. And that's why he's doing this. And so there are some people that were hesitant, some people that whatever. Meanwhile, there's somebody filming,
Right.
instead of doing something to help, they're filming. And so it's a mess. let me tell you real quick. Do you have anything to jump in on real quick?
I mean, I guess there's some questions as far as the gentleman.
The Marine?
Yeah, Mr.
Daniel,
Penny.
Mr. Penny.
Yeah. So was there at any point where Daniel felt that the man was subdued? There was no threat? Was there ever any point? You said it was 2 minutes, 15 seconds. I don't know how quick that is in this
255.
255. I don't know how quick that is when it's actually happening to you. That may seem like a long time.
Feels like it might be long. Yeah, a little bit long. Again, to us, 2 minutes sounds a lot better than 15, which is what some people. 15 seems, not to bring up. I hate to bring up the name, but the George Floyd case. That was a really long time.
Right.
And so regardless of whether. If that was an easy argument to defend Floyd, like, look, there's any reason for that long of a time? In this case, what Daniel Penny is saying, he's pleading not guilty. He's saying, look, I subdued this guy, and he was moving. He was trying to fight me for the duration. And a lot of other people were saying, yeah, he was moving. And then when he stopped moving, he stopped.
Is that when he let go? I guess this is where I'm asking.
Here's a really interesting point that people want to dismiss, and that's fine if you don't think it's valid. I think it's interesting. So apparently, Daniel Penny, the Marine, placed Neely, who he had in the sleeper hold, into the headlock, into what's called the recovery position.
Okay.
Which is once you do that, and whether somebody passes out or whatever, you move them back into recovery, which allows their lungs a certain way to breathe and whatever. He moved him back in, and they were trying to wake him up and get him going again. So I just don't know many murderers that would do that. If this guy's like, my intention is to kill this guy, why is he putting him back in the recovery position? I don't know. And I'm not trying to jump on the Daniel Penny side. I'm just trying to report what is being said from both sides.
Well, and what I noticed is that they're trying to charge him with second-degree manslaughter, which I looked that up real quick, and it's basically a person that causes death of another person due to their reckless or negligent actions, but without intent to kill, which I can see that in here. But I don't know if it was...
Is that reckless? A trained Marine subduing a person? That's the question. I'm just saying that's the question people are asking.
Well, it makes you wonder... Being a trained Marine, I don't see that as reckless because he knows he's a trained how to fight, how to defend himself and stuff like that. So maybe I wonder if that's going to look bad on him.
Well, you would think he's trained in situations like these.
You would think so, yeah, absolutely. So maybe that's another argument for his side. He's trained for situations like this, and I'd be also curious is his mental state. Being a former Marine. He's 24 years old. How recently was he discharged? Did he have any kind of flashbacks? And maybe, jump into action help.
Wow, look at you.
So I'm kind of curious.
I haven't read anything like this, Trey. Digging deep there.
But it'd be interesting to find that out, too.
Well, true. I mean, from what I could see on the video and from what people are reporting, he seemed to have his mental capacity is pretty well in check, but again, that doesn't mean 100%. But wow, yeah, you're right. That's a whole different deal. I don't know. I mean, maybe he was, or on a lighter scale of that idea. Maybe he felt like, I don't know. Maybe he just went a little bit overboard, trying to be the protector, trying to be this, and during it, the guy was fighting against him, and he just went a little bit overboard. I mean, in a tussle, I could see that happening.
Yeah, and based on this news, based on this information right here, I mean, it really does just sound like he was trying to help.
Yeah,
and maybe he felt like he was in a position as a trained Marine to subdue this gentleman in a safe way, and it just got a little out of hand.
Right, and of course that's one way to look at it, and I see that. Let me go ahead and give you more for the Daniel Penny side.
Okay.
Not that he knew this going in, but if there's reason in the aftermath to say, you know what, this Jordan Neely wasn't somebody to take lightly. Jordan Neely has 42 previous arrests. 42, not 3, not 6, 42. And it's anything from evading fares, which I don't even know what that is, like not paying tickets or something,
or taxi,
something like that.
Stuff like that, silly stuff.
Theft, but he also assaulted 3 women and pled guilty to those.
Oh, okay. So he's been violent
including
before.
a 67-year-old woman getting off the subway. So he's been violent on the subway. Now, again, not that Penny knew that. It's not like Penny's like, I recognize you from 42. No.
Yeah.
And so, but you're sitting here now going, okay, maybe none of us were there. Only people that were there know how they felt.
Right.
It's hard for people to judge, hey, they overreacted, or, man, I can definitely see his point. I feel like anybody in our position really has to say, we trust, hopefully, the courts on this. We trust, a jury, because I'm sitting here going, I can see, I see one side more than the other. I'm not going to lie, which will lead me to another point. But let me mention that Neely's mom was strangled to death in 2007.
Oh, wow.
By her boyfriend. And ever since then, the aunt is saying that Jordan has suffered from mental, issues and mental health issues. So my question is, I'll make a statement here. How about Daniel Penny isn't to blame for Neely dying? The system is. If you're arrested 42 times, you have issues.
Right.
If you've assaulted 3 women and plead guilty, you have issues. And they keep tossing them right back.
Yeah.
There's no rehab, no nothing. I mean, maybe saying you should go to do this. Well, he's not going to go. So it's a system that's flawed that has put this guy on the streets. And now somebody said he's threatening everybody. And there becomes a situation where it's him or us.
Right.
Who knows what he had on him? He could have had anything on him. He could have pulled out a knife or anything at that moment. And the Marine said, I'm not going to take a chance.
Yeah.
And like I said, a lot of the passengers were like, we appreciate what he did. Do you have anything to add before I go on to the next point?
No,
Which is really where we're getting.
I'd be kind of the same way as far as that's concerned. If they're constantly throwing him out there, knowing that he has these issues, I don't understand. Especially the aunt. Where was the aunt at? Why wasn't she trying to rein him in a little bit?
She probably didn't want to deal with it. And that's what's sad, is that now she's going to come out. Now it's easy for her to come out and say, oh, well, this, and this. He was loved. Well, why was he on the streets in the subway defecating on himself?
Right.
And
threatening.
Arrested 42 times.
Yeah, threatening and then also, assaulting other people.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, if he was crystal clean and maybe just had too much to drink that night.
Right.
For a first-time offense, and he wasn't really threatening anybody.
I get that.
But so the last thing about this, and then we can kind of assess it from a whole, is the other side of things, which are the Jordan Neely defenders, if you will. And it's a lot of the same crew. I don't know how to say that. I'm trying not to upset people, but it's the same kind of group that defended George Floyd. It's this, he didn't deserve to die, which fair enough, he might not deserve to die, but he shouldn't be threatening people and assaulting women. I mean, it happened as an accident. What happens?
Right.
The idea is Daniel Penny. Was his motive to kill him? Probably not.
No.
In my opinion, so far. We'll see.
Yeah, so far. Yeah.
So far is not to kill him. Was he reckless? I don't think he was reckless. Did he maybe go a minute too? I don't know. I mean, would 30 seconds have changed it?
Well, it makes you wonder too. Anytime you put somebody in a headlock, are you being reckless right there? Because you don't know your own strength sometimes, as far as especially the person you put in a headlock.
How else would you subdue him in that situation?
No, I get it. But
that's what he's trained
still,
to do?
Yeah, is that still a reckless act? In this case, him being trained, maybe it wasn't a reckless act. But me and you trying to throw, if somebody's being crazy, and you come up from behind and put them in a chokehold, is that being reckless because I have not trained? But,
right. I thought you meant just us wrestling right now.
No.
Like in the room, just
that's after the show.
After the show, but like if say I was going to subdue you with my beast mode of a sleep hold,
right?
I still feel like I wouldn't. I still feel like I could lock my arm without squeezing on the neck. Almost like I could subdue you and you can't get out of it, but it's not gonna stop your breathing.
But do you really? I mean, if somebody's squirming around,
I don't know.
Exactly.
I've never been in. If we're having fun, I could try it out. Be like, hold on a second, let me see.
But on the flip side, you do hope it's looked at as reckless because maybe that's a little less of a charge. You know?
But 15 years is what they're talking about, and that's absurd This guy was defending the people, and again, I'm kind of, I guess I have talking about. I swear, coming into this, I hadn't made it really a decision, and I'm not going to make a 100% decision until more comes out.
More information comes out, right?
But right now, I'm just feeling like this wasn't an intent. I think 15 years is a long time for
this.
We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. And if that's what he gets, that's what he gets. And I hope there's a good reason for it. And I'll go with it. But the other side, what I was saying, is gone insane. Again, it has turned into a race thing, which we saw coming, obviously. And I saved it till end because it's the most sensitive part as a whole, and it's something that I'm gonna and I always will look at it from both sides. And to me, and I'll be completely honest here, it really doesn't have to do with that. To me, people will say again, oh, white boy over there, he can, deep down, what does he think deep down? Well, I'm telling you right now, and I don't lie. What I'm telling you right now is that it doesn't matter to me. If Jordan Neely had been a white guy that had 42 counts, or 42 arrests, 3 assaults of women, and a black ex-Marine did the same exact thing, I'd be saying the same exact thing.
Right.
And it would be interesting to me to see if the people supporting Neely now all of a sudden supported the Marine in that situation.
Right.
And vice versa. The people that are now supporting Penny would now all of a sudden go, innocent man died. And that's sick to me that could shift like that.
That could be a possibility, right?
And we've been talking about that, how that happens, and with outlets, with news outlets. Dude, I won't get too much into it, but the news outlets on this story, same thing. Same type of deal. I mean...
Is it white ex-Marine kills homeless black man?
Not maybe as much, but like I tend to go now with the neutrals. There are like 3 or 4 neutrals. You got the Associated Press or the AP. You got Reuters, BBC, which is British, which some people think are a little bit left, but they're close. They're like us. They stay gray, neutral. In fact, I kind of look at us as the Associated Press for people that don't want to think too hard.
Right.
That's us. That's our role. So we're going to take it. We're the Associated Press, Stay in the Gray podcast. But anyway, but you've got CNN and the biggest one to me was interesting was the 2 New York publications. You have the Times, which to me is a very, very left-leaning since the last 5 to 8 years since the Donald entered our lives politically. But always a little bit. And then the New York Post, which is more conservative.
Okay.
And they're the 2 main, and it's just like, the conservatives read the Post, the liberals read the Times. And if you look it up, you would see exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, the Post is like ex-Marine, he's trained, he did the right thing, and the other one's like how, man murdered in cold blood, kind of headlines, and it's just the narrative. So on the left, you're seeing this. You're seeing it's about race. You're seeing this is another black man that died, regardless of the assaults that he did on women, all the arrests, all the threatening in that situation,
right?
Claiming that he would go to prison for life. He's ready to die. What does that mean?
Yeah.
And so you have to be careful in that situation. And so to me,
no matter the race, yeah.
And then the other side, the Post is just like, no matter what, military man, he can't do any wrong. He's no matter what, he did the right thing. And whether you agree, like I tend to now, if I'm leaning one way, I'm leaning kind of that way. But if you agree or not, it's still painting the Marine as is infallible, that he can do no wrong.
Right.
Whereas on the other side, the other group's like, this innocent black man was killed by a white guy. So I just for a social experiment, I'd love to see a mixture of the black on black, white on white, black on. I'd love to see the scenarios in that case. I don't want anybody else to die, so I'll go against that idea. But those are my points. Is that all of a sudden you're going, come on.
I think what sucks is that obviously they're looking for clicks. They're looking for attention, and they're looking at the optics of this situation and immediately jumping to, how do I get these clicks? And obviously it's a white ex-Marine kills a black homeless man, and that's how you get.
Well, that's
people.
their audience.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because I mean it's a horrible situation. Period. You know, some man lost his life. Again, as you put, the system kept throwing him right back out
Guy
there
with mental health issues
instead
lost
of
his
helping
life.
him.
Right.
Yeah, and so it's a completely unfortunate situation. But I think any man in that situation, you know, imagine being on that subway with your family, you know, wife, kids, and you have this belligerent person claiming they're ready to die. You know, you're going to jump to action to save, you know, to protect your wife and kids. Yeah. Any man hopefully would do the same thing. So it was unfortunate that it led to death, but you don't know what this guy was going to do. So just like what you said, he could have had a knife, he could have had whatever in his waistband. But
well, what if he had killed 3 people?
Right. So yeah,
you know, I mean,
what if he assaulted somebody?
That
first,
Marine
and then
didn't
the
do that
Marine
because
was able to subdue him. Or okay, I see what you're saying.
I'm just saying, if the Marine, what if the Marine had been like, I'm afraid I'm going to go to prison for second degree,
right,
or whatever. I can't.
I'm not going to jump in
this day and age, whatever. I mean, you don't have a lot. Hopefully, he's trained enough to not think about those things,
right?
And that's sad if our military is thinking about those things, besides their training. But what if he didn't do anything? The guy kills 3 people, then maybe the guy kills him, and the Marine probably gets off because he was just defending. You know, 3 people just got killed, and he killed the killer.
It's almost like you have to wait for a crime to happen before.
Were 3 other potential deaths, or even assaults. I mean, this is what I talked about with the death penalty. These people like this need to not be just among us, like completely 100% protected by this notion of poor guy, he's innocent.
Yeah.
When other lives are involved, if he's over on his own thing, then you go, all right, whatever, fine, and you know nobody's life is being threatened. But as soon as everybody else who just wants to take the subway, it's not like they were teasing him and punching him in a corner and like messing with him a little bit. And then he fought back, and the Marine took him down.
Right,
I mean, this was, from what I understand, everybody's standing there just trying to take the rail,
right?
And
minding their own business,
starting threatening, which you hear about these kind of crazy people in these subways.
Well, it is unfortunate. Going back to the aunt, she knew about his mental issues. She knew about the things he
probably other people too,
right? So when do they yell at the fact that they just keep letting him right back out, no rehab, no nothing to help him out.
They don't think about that.
So
they don't think about that.
They should be yelling that a little bit more instead of the fact that a white Marine strangled him to death, because that's unfortunate. How many other people are just ticking time bombs, ready to actually hurt somebody, and may succeed at hurting somebody just because they keep throwing them right back out there. So,
well, this is not an uncommon thing. That's what's sad and scary for everybody else. Is the system is just kind of like, all right, well, whatever. And that's why I keep talking about is the people capable of these things are not necessarily, gone or put somewhere and whatever. I mean, they're coming right back in society.
Right.
And this is obviously a little bit lesser scale. But here the quote from his aunt was, Jordan deserves justice, whatever that means. I mean, I know what that means, but come on. He was loved, is what she said. And to me, it's sitting there going, well, he was loved. Come on, somebody couldn't have helped him a little more than letting him loose in a subway daily. And that's, anyway, so that's kind of where we're at, where I'm at with the Jordan Neely case. I think it's...
And on the flip side, sorry to interrupt there, but...
You and your flip side.
How many... Did I say that again? I'm sorry.
No, that's your thing, dude.
So how many family members do you ever hear come out and say, you know what, he's done a lot of bad things, and it just seemed like it was only a matter of time before something like this happened?
Another great point. You are killing it tonight, my man.
But you never
are killing it tonight.
You never hear that, and it's always the person was an angel. Everybody loved him. Yeah. He did good. This, that, and the other.
This aunt should have come out and said, man, he had some issues, and I'm not surprised this happened. It's sad.
It's unfortunate that it happened.
Unfortunate, but I'm not surprised. Maybe I could have done more.
Right.
But instead, he deserves justice. Not the people that were freaking out for their lives or the Marine that did what he thought was right.
Yeah.
And so all these protests are going on again. And you look, and I hate to add on to the race thing. But all these protests, if you look at the protests, it's pretty much a bunch of black people that are upset about it, saying it's because he's black. He was killed. And it's, again, we're sitting here picking it apart from every angle. I've said it a million times. I would have the same issue, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, if this was a white man that had the same track record and the same behavior. And that's what I'm looking at. So these protests. And so how much does that play into a jury? How much does that play into whatever? Is that there's this mob out there.
And I would even take it a little further. I get the protesting. Why don't they also protest the system that constantly kept letting him back out? That should be something that should be, they're voicing their issues with that too. So,
well, that should be something that everybody voices more.
Right.
And focuses on more. I'm just lucky that I kind of read something about that where somebody brought that to the forefront, because I don't automatically think that. I'm like, man, this guy was a threat. He was subdued. I think that's kind of where I'm at. I think that was the right thing to do. And unfortunately, it was a little much because it killed him. But again, he is not in the best shape. This guy was, who knows what he was on. Let's wait for the report.
So on another note, the people that were assisting the Marine, are they also looking at charges?
Well, not that I've heard of. And all I heard was that a couple of them were like kind of holding his arms. And so I guess what they're saying is, they weren't reckless. They were holding his arms versus the Marine had him by the neck. And so that was what was reckless. That can be the only thing I can think of when you're dealing with second-degree manslaughter.
Gotcha.
It's the person that actually, was, like I said, reckless. And the other people were just trying to subdue him. And I don't think there's a question that he needed to be subdued.
Right.
I think that he was clearly all over the place and yelling and what he was yelling. Like I said, to say you're ready to die or live a life sentence, it doesn't take a lot to decode that.
Right.
And that's why I'm surprised that so many people are like, wow, okay, that's basically another way of saying I'm not afraid to kill any of you. To me, that's how I took it.
Yeah.
If you don't give me some money, I'm going to kill somebody. Like, he was asking for money.
And it's hard to sit back and say, well, wait, let's ask him a few questions to see what his
Right. Let's interview
intentions
this
are
guy.
first.
Hey, can we have a seat here and maybe have a cup of coffee?
Yeah.
No. And so, yeah. So that's my thing with this situation, and we'll keep an eye on it. I really do want to keep an eye on it because it's sad, but it's also intriguing to see how our judicial system works,
Right.
and whether it's releasing the guy that had 42 arrests without any kind of aid or assistance, or whether it's giving a guy 15 years for what some are feeling like was a necessary act.
And I would love to hear. Sorry about that.
No.
I'd love to hear even the background of the family. They knew of his issues. Family and friends, where were they at? You
mean besides the aunt, just everybody?
Everybody. Well, she said he was loved.
Yeah. Well, right. Comments like that.
Where were these people that loved him at? Why was he on that subway, belligerent, scaring all of these people on this subway? So,
well, I wasn't going to say anything, but I will real fast. Somebody like this aunt, and I don't know her. We don't know a lot about her, so I'm not going to say this is for sure. But all of a sudden you come out and you say he was loved, this and this, and that's maybe an attempt to get some money. It may be an attempt to help the case against Penny. And all of a sudden you come out and you say this, and you're all of a sudden turning everybody in a different direction, or you're trying to, and you're out of the woodwork. I mean, I would love to know if Neely was alive to ask, hey, has your aunt even been around in your life? I mean,
yeah.
It's sad that it comes to that in my thoughts, and other people's thoughts too.
Well, and
who was this aunt?
Right. And again, she was not there.
Yeah, where was she
when this happened? But she knew of his history of him assaulting other people. So it's
her sister was strangled by her boyfriend,
Right.
and back in the day, and saw this mental health issue. Meanwhile, he's still homeless. He's still in the subway. Was the aunt homeless?
right.
I know it's not always as simple as just have him live with you, but something. If he was loved truly, you've got to think that some people would figure something out.
Well, especially if he had these issues, Again,
Right.
it's not like he was just out and never did any harm to anybody.
Right.
And this was just a one-off incident.
Sure.
But the fact that he's been violent before. But anyway, so yeah, I don't understand why these people that loved him, why didn't they take him in? Why didn't they try to get him help? So
Tim, we'll see. It's tough. I'm going to try and leave it to the courts and to a jury, and hopefully everything comes out and the right decision's made, and that's it. But we'll keep an eye on it. If something big comes out and happens, and we'll talk about it, I'm sure. But let's. I feel like I could babble. Imagine that. Let's shift gears.
shifting gears.
Are you ready to shift gears?
Am I ready? Let's see. Depends on what we're shifting to.
More fun, serious stuff, Trey. I got some serious stuff to talk to you about tonight.
Okay. Let's talk serious.
Part of the feedback I've received in via email, via phone call, via text, all the different platforms
Did you get a letter?
Communicate.
Did somebody write a letter?
The one thing I didn't get was the snail mail. It might get here in like 3 days from a week ago. But people have informed me, and these are people of all demographics, by the way, Trey, just to let you know, that you sound very, very gay on our show. And
do I sound gay or do I have
gay tendencies?
Tendencies, there we go.
Either way. And I've tried to defend you as much as I can.
I'm sure you have.
And so I tell them, no, this
You're like, yes,
this
yep.
is for the show. He, even if it's just a little bit of gay tendencies, he's fine. He likes women. I'm pretty sure of that. And it's all satire and comedy. And some of them were convinced, like, okay. And others were like, I'm still not sure. But it got me thinking about just in general how, if we talk about this, how is it taken? How do people go, all right, well, they keep saying gay, and you say the word gay, and some people still kind of tense up, and is it okay to talk about it? Is it okay to make light of it like we are right now?
Right.
Back in the day, you would look at your friend, you're 16 years old, and you'd be like, dude, shut up, homo. I mean, you'd say those types of things in jest. It wasn't like you were literally calling him that, or you were saying it in a derogatory way to an actual gay person. So it's times. I mean, if somebody overheard us talking like that, we'd be done.
Well, and I wish I could argue this.
God,
this fact.
Please elaborate. Argue what?
When I started my taekwondo,
started what? Oh, taekwondo.
My taekwondo venture. The actual owner of the school thought I was gay. There was a woman in class about my age thought I was gay, and it was unfortunately at the time. I think I've said it on the show. I paint my toenails, and at the time,
yeah, you admitted that. Go ahead.
I went with my niece and my mom. My niece is now, gosh, I'm going to get in trouble for not knowing her exact age. Probably 4 or 5, if I had to remember correctly.
As long as she's not like 10, you're okay. No. You know what I mean? Like, I'm saying as long as you're in the ballpark, I'm sure you're given, right?
And so we let her pick out the nail polish. Well, of course, she gives Uncle Trey the sparkly nail polish. And
you were excited. You were excited.
Well, absolutely. And so, we started. Me and my brother started class soon after that, and of course, I've got the sparkly nail polish on in class. And as you know, I was very uncomfortable. So
were you?
I joked around. Well, I'm sorry, it was a new experience. So Taekwondo was a new experience to me. So of course, I joked around.
Oh, this
with
was
people.
Towards the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh.
So at one point, my instructor, young 19-year-old kid, puts me in to demonstrate.
Yeah, don't say chokehold because we've already been there.
Well, he grabs my neck to show the other people in class how to get out of this hole.
Right.
Well, I proceeded to take my finger and put his hair behind his ear. I thought it was funny, but he looked at me crazy. And but yeah, I guess I don't help myself in that argument.
We like to laugh, and I think there's some comedy in the idea that a straight man could have tendencies that might make him other than straight.
Right.
And that's not an insult.
I'm very comfortable in my manhood,
yeah. And it's not an insult to to people who are gay, and that,
Right.
you know, maybe there is a gay man who likes to paint his toenails. That's not like you're not making fun of that person.
No.
You're just, it's a tendency more on that side. In all seriousness, I mean, if you took a poll of straight men, not many paint their toenails. They just don't. I mean, you know, I say that, but I've known more and more men that have gotten pedicures these days. In fact, I've had a few.
They're wonderful.
But they're wonderful, and that, you know, they look at you. You want to paint your? You're like, all right, cool. Like, why not?
And I tell you what, every time they've asked me, and I say yes, I want a specific color, they would always
Pink
look
sparkles.
at whoever I'm with, whether it's my mom, whether it was my ex-wife,
To get the okay.
to get the okay. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm a grown ass man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can choose to paint my toenails if I want to.
Yeah, just
you
because
know?
I said I want rainbow sprinkles doesn't mean sparkles. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean
So
so.
I'm still a man.
So people have taken notice of your tendencies.
Yeah.
And I think it's hilarious. And I started thinking about just the topic of, like I said before I started into that, I was thinking about, you know, the topic of being gay in this country and how it's gone, in my opinion, from when I was a kid, and obviously before that. You know, I don't know much about it because I wasn't alive, but from what I've read, and obviously it was taboo for the longest time. Like, I've said taboo on like 3 different shows, haven't I? But it goes, you know, in the 80s, and then when I was a really, really wee lad, into the 90s, and it was very uncomfortable. You know, you had the AIDS issues,
Right.
which was penned on gay people mostly, and drug use, but gay people, and you had all that, and it was very uncomfortable for anybody to be gay. So what happens? People don't come out. People stay. You know, it's a secret. People, you know, would get married to a woman.
You want me to tell you how naive I was to it?
Go ahead. Yeah, I'd love to hear this.
So I thought being gay was actually something that only white men did.
What?
I'm serious.
How old were you when you thought this?
I don't want to tell you.
Yeah, I don't want you
But,
to tell anybody because we'll lose everybody. Like this.
When I started working with the company that I am now,
How many months ago? Sorry, it was like.
but
5
it
seconds. Go
was
ahead.
very strange to me when I started seeing black men that were gay. I don't know why that was weird to me.
You never seen it before.
I'd never seen it before.
Right.
I've seen white men being gay on television, and that was the thing that I saw, whether it was through advertisements or whatever the case may be at the time, or stories. But anyway, it was very strange to me, and I always thought it was a white thing.
I don't know whether that's interesting or sad.
Is it?
But
I
well,
said it was
no. I
very
mean, I
naive,
get it
you know?
because if I'm sitting here thinking of the stereotypical gay man with the you know body language and behaviors, effeminate, and there are a lot of gay men that aren't those things.
Yeah.
But if you think about that, then you're right. I mean, and a lot of gay people will tell you this because they wouldn't put gay people in anything.
Yeah.
They wouldn't put them in commercials, TV shows. It was very. I think I forget the first TV show that allowed somebody to come out and like be gay. And it started right there in the 90s. It was like Will and Grace and all those kind of came out at the same time, where it was just this you know big kind of swooping. It's okay to have a gay character on there.
Didn't Ellen come out on the show?
Ellen came out, and it just became this whole. It's okay. Here we go. Let's move on, which is great.
Right.
Then they forced it maybe a little bit into where it was just like everywhere you looked, it was like, look, this show now is about a bunch of men running around, but we've got to put a gay guy in there now. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of I don't know a good example there, but so it's so in the 90s, and so what my point is it got me thinking on a topic like this, which, by the way, as of now in 2023. I can't even believe that anybody would talk about being gay as anything other than normal. Yes, it's still a minority. I mean, there was still a report of only 7.6% LGB. I can't get all the letters. I'm sorry. LGBTQ, and that includes transgender. And I know that's transgender very low, so that I don't think that spikes or depletes it much.
So that community is only 7% of
7% of whatever are they're claiming are gay. Some have claimed that it's 10. That's been debunked. Apparently, I was doing my research before the show, Trey. So, in 7%, which you know, that has doubled in the last 20 years. At the time, it was only like a little over 3% that people were claiming. And so, what that's showing me is that people are more comfortable kind of admitting it and coming out. I'm sure there's still plenty that don't want to do it.
I was about to say, I wonder what percentage is still in the
They
closet.
don't want to do it.
Let me ask you something real quick, because this has come up kind of curious. If a man who enjoys sleeping with women also sleeps with other men, are they considered gay, or is that bisexual?
I think it's bisexual.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're both. I mean, I think that's why they include that in the letters. LGB, B is bisexual.
Gotcha.
LG. So lesbian, gay, bisexual, and then queer and transgender. I think that's LBG QT. I think that's it. Forgive me, people. Like, if you're one of the letters I left out, like, don't yell at me. Just educate me. Please.
What you're already saying is that this is what you're going to be apologizing for.
That might be
the
my
next
apology.
show.
I think I got it right, though. I think I got it right. Unless there's a pansexual, I'm not sure. Just, again, educate me, help me out. I'd like to learn. But so, all that being said, it led me to a question. I was going to ask that question first, but we went off, and I think it's because this topic, believe it or not, is still it's just out there. It can be discussed. I mean, we haven't even hit the meat of it yet,
right.
And here we are. Real quick, the question, simply put, is somebody born gay? And that is listed as one of the top 10 questions for debate in this country, which kind of baffled me at this point. That a topic about being gay would be top 10.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's a no-brainer at this point. There should be absolutely no discrimination against gay people. And the Supreme Court actually said, yeah, you're right, Ryan. Say in the Great Podcast gets it. And guess what? Gay marriage is legal around the whole country. It just seems like that's in the past. Like, that shouldn't even be talked about anymore. But this question still remains, and people are still doing studies.
That would be curious to learn. Is it learned, or is it?
Is it a learned behavior, or are you born
that way?
So, what do you think?
So my initial thought was learned behavior. That was my initial thought. So as you grow up, you kind of are attracted to what you're attracted to, whether it's someone of the same sex or someone of different sex. Based on experiences as you grow up. And I even wanted to try to do a little bit of research and
nice.
Something
that's
different.
Good. That's good to have research when we spout off.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, I just looked it up and said, is this a learned behavior? Is being gay a learned behavior? And right off the bat, it just says no. Being gay is not a learned behavior. Yet, as it goes on, it talks about how sexual orientation, including homosexuality, is a complex aspect of human identity that's influenced by whether it's a combination of genetic, hormonal, environmental, and social factors.
Seriously?
So, unless I'm an idiot, does that not mean it's a learned behavior?
I mean, that's what it sounds like. Well, it sounds like they added that in there. I don't know if that was a mistake or what. That's what it sounds like.
The same paragraph that just said no.
Right.
Then it says, while the causes are not fully understood, research is showing that sexual orientation is not a choice or a learned behavior.
And, to me, when anybody says research shows, usually I'm all about it. Okay, research, great. I'm all about it. But in this case, man, it's got to be hard to research this topic. I mean, how do you research it?
Yeah.
How do you know? I mean, I guess you could take people that claim to be gay, and just question when they found out, when they knew, when they came out, when they whatever. I mean, their first encounter with the person. Same. I don't know how you research it. So it's interesting to me when people say, "Well, according to research." And so, really, to me, I don't know if it matters. And I know that I just threw a twist at you right now.
That did throw me off there.
Are you born gay, yes or no? Maybe there's not a yes or no. Maybe, Trey, there's a gray. See how that happened? That can happen to anybody.
Yeah.
A gray area of the gay area. There's a gray area in this because I feel like...
So what you're saying is there's a gray area of the gay area.
That's right.
We need to hashtag that.
That's another hashtag. But I feel like somebody could be born gay and know it very, very early and assume that they were born gay. or parents that assume, okay, my 6-year-old is, literally wants to be in makeup, and he always wants to watch the guys. I don't know. I'm just throwing something out there.
Right.
It's some signs. My 3-year-old enjoys dancing on the coffee table, but I don't yet. We'll see.
But what if you're
Yet.
a 5-year-old growing up with sisters?
That's true. I mean, maybe there's some sort of influence there. But he could have been born that way still. We don't know. And that's why I'm just so baffled by the research, and I might have to go and dig a little deeper. So that's the question. But for me, then it gets into the aspect of coming out. When do you come out? Do you come out as a teenager? I mean, my God, how hard is that?
Yeah, I can't even imagine that.
I mean, it's insane. And then there are parents that I'm assuming from everything that I hear of people that have come out, their parents have been supportive. Well, it used to be people that were going to come out were just in fear. I mean, it was just this, I don't know when to do it. I don't know how to tell them. I don't know whatever. They're going to disown. I mean, you've seen it in movies, 90s movies and all this, where the parents, cry and scream. And the only reason I would say I wouldn't want, maybe my children to be gay is because of this, because of what they would have to deal with. That's the only reason.
That's exactly what I've been hearing from parents that I know, that with young ones that are questioning.
Yeah, why deal with it?
It's like they're scared of the backlash for their child more than anything else. So,
well, the other issue is parents that are really religious, and we talked about that a bit with the abortion topic with Jess, and the religious aspect is there. Now, a lot of people who are Christians these days are coming out and saying, you know what? No, that is not true about Christianity, the Bible, all these things.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
Interesting.
They're saying that they argue. The people that are Christians that are against being gay are pointing out verses that say that, and the people that are saying that are Christians that are, okay with it are pointing out other verses. And so it's this whole.
Yeah.
That's why that's one of the reasons I do have an issue with taking, I appreciate Scripture, but taking it so seriously is tough, because it's 2,000 years ago, and translations and all these kinds of things, and you've got people on an issue like this
it could be interpreted
who are pointing out different Bible verses,
right?
The same book here, everybody, and you're pointing out contradicting, and so people, and I can't, the Bible stuff to understand. I think you have to really interpret it, even in English. But I think that there's some truth to both sides in that. So that becomes an issue, the Christian part of it. So you have Christian parents who, if their son or daughter comes out and says, say they're 15 and they say, you know what, I'm gay.
Yeah.
It's all about the religion. It's all about God's judgment. It's about all of a sudden the devil has you, or you're going to go to hell. And how's a 15-year-old who's grown up in a religious environment supposed to take that?
Right.
And then on the other side, there are, of course, parents who are Christians that believe that being gay is okay, but it's still difficult. And I can't. So I know I was talking actually to a parent recently about her son being gay, and she thought right when he came out how difficult. She admitted it was very difficult. I'm religious. I thought I had my friends telling me that he was going to hell.
Really?
I had,
wow.
And all these things, and you get into these groups, and that's being told, and that was really hard to hear, and so I wonder about the parent aspect of it, but I also wonder about the parents who are gay that are so afraid that were so afraid to come out.
Right. Back
in the day, maybe maybe they didn't know fully, or they denied it or something. Got married to somebody of the opposite sex, had kids, did the whole thing, and then finally said, you know what? No, I'm gay. And then, of course, then the children have a hard time. They don't understand fully, and of course the ex-spouse, and it just becomes a big deal.
Right.
And was that because of society, or was that because of this discussion, which is, did they know about being gay until their 20s or 30s or beyond?
Or were they scared? Were they come out and they wanted to leave, live the quote unquote, right lifestyle?
I mean, I've been babbling, but I'll tell you a story. To that point, or do you have anything to add at all?
No, that is interesting. If why wouldn't you come out as far as that concerned? Were you scared? Did you feel like you had to live
the parent that
right that goes so far, getting married, having children, and then
how about status? How about communities? How about areas that aren't? I mean, we live in Texas. It's kind of the South. It's not the Bible Belt South, but it's the South. And you got a lot of people that might, back in the day have been against it. And I say back in the day, 20, 30 years ago.
right.
And still today, don't get me wrong. I think it's becoming less and less as the generations move on.
Yeah.
And which it should be. And but I think that's maybe there was just this fear of backlash for the entire family, and somebody didn't want to
Go through
doesn't
that.
want to come out and say, here my whole family has to deal with this.
Yeah.
So the story I have is about that, which is this notion of coming out and dealing with what's out there. So I'll try and make it quick. There is a gentleman that I know when I lived up in Chicago, Illinois, and this gentleman is one of the greatest people I've ever met. And I'm not just saying that. I mean, he literally is the most genuine guy. We could talk just on and on and on and on, and just it just never end. I mean, we would literally have to look at each other and go, you know what? I have another appointment. Let's roll. And then we still talk for like 5 more minutes. And my wife and I would go to have drinks with him every once in a while, and he lived in our building, and he was just fantastic. And the day before we moved back to Dallas from Chicago, we were in a hotel in a lobby, like the lobby bar, and he came to say goodbye. And my wife, of course, who goes to bed early, was like, I'm going to leave. And so I was sitting there talking to this man, and we started talking. I mean, obviously a couple drinks, and we talk about serious stuff. So we started talking about him being gay, and he looked at me, and I said, hey man, what do you think? Like, is it something that you appreciate? Do you enjoy it? Is it? And he looked at me with the most serious eyes that I've ever seen from him, or the most serious look I've ever seen in his eyes. And he said, I wouldn't wish this on anyone, Ryan.
Yeah.
And I was just like, whoa. And at that moment, any doubt that I had of, all right, maybe they're being a little dramatic about how hard it is or whatever, was just out the window. I mean, it became this cannot still be in this day and age, that somebody would sit there and just not like what they are.
Right.
Especially this man. This guy is like, I wish I could have his energy and his character and just who he is. And I've lost touch with him a little bit, but at the same time, he's somebody I refuse to lose touch with. And so it's sad that it takes an experience like that, and I'm sure the other people have had the same thing where they don't realize it until something like this.
Right.
And so that's why I'm telling this story, is because hopefully anybody of our 4 listeners, if maybe one of them, will take it away and use that going forward. But that's why I tell you.
Did this person tell you when he came out? How old he was? Do you remember?
Oh man, I don't want to get this wrong. From my understanding, it was like a high school, maybe a little later, like a 19 or 20.
Gotcha. Because you have to think about this as far as you're growing up, you're told, okay, as a boy you like a girl you like a boy, blah blah blah. But if you're constantly having these thoughts, am I in the wrong?
Right.
For thinking this, am I wrong? Is something wrong with me?
Sure.
So I can't even imagine somebody having to go through that and then ultimately decide, you know what, this is what I like, and then come out and tell people. How old is this person now? Well, you don't even say exactly.
No,
are they around
I think
our
he's
age?
around our age.
Okay, so
Yeah.
even around our age, back then, I can't even imagine coming out in high school to anybody, or even around that
Right.
time frame.
Right.
Because you had to be the macho.
Sure. Well, sure.
You can't
Well, especially we were, high school and college in the high school in the late 90s, mid 90s, and at that point it was. I'll tell you right now, I won't say the name of it, although people that know us will know, they know me. I went to an all guy school,
right,
for high school, Catholic school, and nobody. I think maybe one person out of 800 at the time, and now it's way more, was like 800 people total, freshman through senior year or class. And like, I don't remember anybody coming out saying anything about it. And of course, obviously, you're with a school of guys. You'd think that you'd want to come out, and maybe some other people would. And like, right. That's me being kind of halfway joking. But at the same time, you're going, oh my gosh, I'm going to be under the microscope. I'm refusing to come out. And sure enough, now social media is involved. I'm finding, multiple people in my class in high school that I had no idea. And they've come out and said, hey, this is me. And some of that is the times have changed.
I wonder what the statistics are with that, as far as like 1 in 10.
In
1 in
school?
20, yeah. Guys,
I would imagine that would align with what the country's statistics are, which is, 7%, I would think.
Oh, that's right. You did mention the 7%.
I mean, but that's the country. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could have been more or less when I was in high school, but
yeah.
But the point is that no one thought about it. It wasn't something that, so chances are if somebody had come out and said, hey, you know what, guys, I'm gay, that everybody would go, oh my God. And then they'd walk on eggshells and they would try and maybe treat the person. Even if it was in a nice way, it's still awkward for that person. And so I think that's why so many people for so long have just kind of like kept it under wraps. And so, but when my closest, one of my closest friends in Chicago, and just a guy that I don't want to, he made an impact. Let's just say that. And I've lived in a lot of places, and each place you kind of say, I hate to lose touch with these people. He's one of those.
Yeah.
And so that got me. So that's why when I wanted to talk about this tonight on the show. I'm doing that with him, heavy in heart, about these topics. So I don't know. Do you have anything you want to tell our audience after talking about that? Would you like to come out on the show?
Wouldn't that be a...
Oh man. No. We'll wait till we get a little bit larger of an audience before you come out.
No,
Trey's not gay.
No, I can't even. Obviously you're attracted to what you're attracted to, and
right.
And so,
like you're not attracted to big girls. We've talked about that.
No offense, Ryan, but it's just there's no, or to any man out there that's listening. There's no attraction.
You shifted. You didn't want to hurt my feelings.
Yeah, I didn't want to hurt your feelings.
That's all right.
So any man out there, nothing against you, but there's no attraction to men. I like the women. Men are pigs, and that's why I stay.
That's true.
That's why I stay with the women. So
it is interesting. I mean, I used to kind of joke around about it, but is there any truth to the fact that like I understand lesbians more than I understand gay men? And why don't gay men have their own name? Like lesbians have their own name for being a gay woman, lesbian. Yeah. Why don't men have, unless it's like the slang and the derogatory, but that's not good. Anyway, so the gay men, I mean, I don't understand it. I mean, I guess there are a lot of gay men that take care of their bodies and like, make it look almost like a statue,
Right.
But I always thought it would be easy to be a lesbian because you're looking at, I think women are just more attractive as a whole. They're curvy. They've got smooth skin versus some of them versus, us hairy and we got to shave. Our chest can get out of hand when it comes to the cabbage that comes out of your shirt. Cabbage? No, lettuce? No, what do you call it?
Oh, taco meat.
Get out of hand with the taco meat that comes out of your shirt and lettuce. And there's just not a lot that's appealing about a guy, in my opinion, overall. I mean, for like toughness, maybe, but that's not. So for women, I can understand another woman going, wow, she's curvy, she's smooth, she's got beautiful lips, their eyes. I mean, I can understand. It makes more sense.
Yeah, because when I walk across in front of a mirror, I'm like, oh my God, what does she see in this?
Well, not quite there yet, but no, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. I'm kidding. No, I get it. I'm just sitting here like, I don't know. There's nothing, to me, it doesn't make any sense. But like I said, who am I?
Yeah.
Who are we? You like what you like, and I appreciate what you like.
Right.
So, I do that after every serious topic. I've listened back. I do that.
Whew.
I hope that, I don't know what the purpose of that conversation was, except to say that I can't believe this is still, anybody's really talking about this in a derogatory way.
Yeah.
It is interesting to me whether it's something that's a learned behavior or you're born with it, but I don't know how. Please, anybody that has the science or has the research or the knowledge,
Yeah.
let us know, because I just can't imagine. I don't know how you would research that. How do you know that somebody in the womb? I know there have been studies, that show certain, while you're in the womb, but that's with so many things. That's with different diseases and different this and conditions. And I mean, I guess that could be, but really an attraction to something based on, maybe we'll readdress this at some point.
Yeah.
So, all right. Poof. Let's move on. What else do you want to talk about? Do you have anything else you want to talk about tonight?
I was thinking about something the other day, and I don't know if we should save this for when we have our gun person on. And
we are going to have somebody on that's very adamant about talking about guns.
But I was thinking about this. If we were to get we'll say the NRA. So we'll get the NRA and whatever political party that the NRA associates with.
Well, that's the big Republican Party.
Okay, so I believe you have to pay membership? I'm not sure. Maybe that's something I need to look into.
I think there are dues. I think so. I don't know for sure.
So what if the NRA and the Republican side for a percentage of money earned, all that money goes into some type of mental health solution? That's for one side.
What do you mean all the money earned?
So, I'm sorry, a portion of
like a small
from the
percentage.
NRA
Okay.
that they earn. So they get dues, right? You pay dues to be part of the NRA, right? So let's take 10% of that money, and that 10% all goes into some type of mental health.
Sure, like a some sort of foundation.
Some kind of foundation to help people that need that.
You fired this topic at me like randomly, by the way.
Right.
Okay.
I was thinking
like
about this. So that's on one side, right?
Okay.
So we got one side jumping into the middle to help out on the mental aspect of it. And
Okay.
it's the gun hold that wants their guns.
You pointed out that was one side.
That's one side.
That's going to be the issue.
Right.
Go ahead.
So the other side,
Okay.
and
The anti-gun.
the anti-gun,
Screw guns, get rid of them, collect them.
right?
Yeah.
So that group will take a portion of their proceeds,
What proceeds?
whatever money they're earning. So
And just like their paychecks?
political proceeds, you have to kind of help me out as far as whatever money they're earning, whether it's through donations, whether it's through.
You mean the party itself?
There you go.
Oh.
Or maybe if there's another group opposite of the NRA.
Whew, that gets tricky. I mean, I see what you're saying. Okay, let's not. We don't have to name the group, but you're just saying once we find that.
Once we find that other side,
Right.
they take a percentage of their proceeds,
Okay.
and they use that strictly for security for schools, security for malls, gun safety, something to, I guess, teach people about the safety
Yeah,
of guns.
you're just saying that each side will kind of help out the opposition
Right. Because I think
side of things.
I think it would help if there was more security. Well, is there enough money to pay for that security? Do schools have enough money to provide security for the schools? Maybe that's a reason why they don't have security, is because they just don't have the money for it. So we bring one side in to help out with that
Right.
aspect of it, while we bring the other side in to help out with the mental aspect
Sure.
of it for people that need that mental help, but maybe they can't afford it.
Yeah, I'm interested in this idea. I mean, I think, right on the forefront. I think that the federal government should be handling secure. We sit here and talk about how it costs money to secure our schools and have security
Right.
and have police and this and that. Well, that's what our tax money should be going for,
Right.
in my opinion, regardless of proceeds from the NRA and proceeds from the other side, which I'm not opposed to if they agree. But the problem is I don't know if they're going to agree, because everybody that I've talked to, and I can't wait to get some more guests on and talk about the gun issue. Yeah, everybody on the anti-gun side is like, that's not the solution. Security and our teachers shouldn't have to carry. Then security guards, that's not going to do anything. Well, I don't agree with that.
I think it'll discourage it.
It'll
Absolutely.
discourage it at least a little bit. I mean, and you're talking about money. Like, what's a better place to put money? Tax dollars, federal spending, especially some of the bullshit, special interest spending that's happening in this
Right.
government. And so the other side of it is the NRA. Well, is the NRA willing to give proceeds? I think if it's low enough, they might. But I think they're going to want to give. They might say, okay, we'll give a little bit to the mental health research, or to the process, or whatever. But they're also maybe entice them with something else too. I think that they'd be willing to, all right, yeah, we'll give here, but we also want to give here. We also want to give to security. So the idea that you had, which is let's do the opposite kind of thing, is
Right.
great. But why not have everybody just do everything?
Because they won't do everything. They want to scream about their side. So the NRA is like, well, the guns don't kill people. People to kill people.
Oh, you're saying the mental health is more attached to the NRA side.
That's what I'm saying, because they're saying, they're fighting to keep their guns because the guns is not killing people. It's the people behind the guns. Okay. If that's your argument, perfect. Let's fix those people.
Right. Well, then
Let's help
I think
that.
they would be funding the security and extra security and whatever, because they believe that guns in the right hands prevent guns in the wrong hands.
Right.
From
But
doing
again, you have to have the other side to jump in.
Well, the other
help
side,
with
that's
the
what I'm
solution.
saying. The other side, to me, I'm trying to, the anti-gun side, I'm trying to put myself there. I'm really not pro-gun either. I'm kind of here just watching it happen. And I can't figure out what they would do exactly with their, but maybe both. Maybe both. Maybe they need to do that too, and just say, you know what, let's do whatever we can. What bothers me is that's the anti-gun side just can't seem to grasp the idea that you're just not going to collect 400 million guns.
Right.
You can't do it. And that's I keep going back to that. And so I'll sit here and say I'm in the middle in this area on this. This is one of the topics I'm super gray on.
But this is one of the areas that they come out for. They back is
Sure.
is whenever kids are killed. So okay, I get that. It's horrible. Let's do something about it. Let's throw money at more security, more protection around the schools, more protection maybe at malls now. Unfortunately, there's going to be the next area, that's going to have something unfortunate happen. But
And it's not just security. It's like you said, it's the mental state, the mindset, and it's not even just mental illness. It's a mindset that you have growing up in certain areas with certain lack of motivation. This is what you see from day one. You see poverty. You see your relatives and cousins and friends out with whether it's gangs or whether this is how to solve things. You have a gun.
or, and obviously you go to movies and you go to TV shows, and it may not be the reality of it, but you see where you have to join certain groups just to survive if you're living in certain
Sure.
areas. So maybe that's what you're brought up to, just to survive.
So I would say that some money needs to definitely go into programs and some way to dig into the youth all over the country that's in these situations where that's all they see, because that's what's happening. Is it's this cycle. Kids are born, they grow up, this is what they see, and they fall into it whether they want to or not. And I think that's where we need to focus on as well. But that's, again, like you've brought up, it's not a focal point. Nothing gets talked about until the mass shootings. Well, the mass shootings aren't the only gun issues in this country. In fact, they're honestly, if you want to really talk numbers, that's the very, very low amount of gun issues in this country.
Yeah.
But
So
they talk about the mass shooting because of the type of weapon. Or
Right.
come on. And that's where I get frustrated with the anti-gun people is, hey, come on. You're talking about the type of weapon versus daily shootings in this country
Yeah.
in areas that you're afraid to talk about. So that's my thought. And
That was my little
we're
thought.
gonna, yeah, and I like that because we're gonna hit that gun topic again, and I want to have more perspective than just you and me. I want to have people that can think beyond our brain capacity.
And I want to talk to him about, the need for an AR, so just curious.
You're pretty set on that, yeah. You've mentioned that a couple times, but I don't think that's gonna. I mean, look. I'll use that. I said it before. I said it when we talked about the Allen shooting, right, in the last episode. I said, hey, he killed 9 people, 8 people. 9 was him. 8 people. So if he has 2, automatic pistols versus 1 assault rifle, he's still going to get what, like I said, 5 or 6 versus the 8. Sure, you're saving 1 or 2 people, and that's great, but that's not the main issue.
Right.
I mean, you could sit there and bitch about assault rifles all you want, but is that the issue? Is somebody that went and I'm thinking of things like the Vegas mass shooting, which was probably one of the biggest ones, atop of that building. If he doesn't, first off, just because you ban assault rifles doesn't mean that somebody can't get a hold of one, and
Right.
that's my other issue with the anti-gun is, look, they're still here. Just because you take some of them and make them illegal doesn't mean that people aren't going to get them. They're criminals.
Well, and I guess there's also a way to
shit.
modify weapons to make them automatic weapons too. So
True. There's all kinds of
you
things.
can't stop people from doing that either. So.
And how about we secure our borders? And this is one issue that obviously I just admitted which side I'm on that issue. We'll talk about that sometime. But I mean, look, if you ban them and you get rid of them and you pull some of them away, you don't think that if our loose borders are going to bring some more over? So, but my point being was that these huge mass shootings, like the Vegas one, where you're talking like a lot of people.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have access to some sort of assault rifle or some sort of automatic weapon, you don't think he's going to come up with something else? I mean,
That's yes. I
he was
agree.
sitting above this concert, way high up. I mean, he could do anything. He'd throw fucking grenades for all we know. He could do. I mean, I'm telling you, if he's sitting up there and he's even with a pump shotgun, he could still do some damage and just fire those rounds into the crowd. Would the numbers be a little different? Maybe, but it's not enough. It's not like he's going to kill 65 or 1 to make the automatic weapon debate the priority.
Right. I absolutely am
Yeah.
behind the mental state of these people.
Mental state, whatever. I mean, if there's a way, and bless you if you can figure it out, but let's come together and talk about it. If there's a way to go ahead and lower the number of assault rifles, I'm not opposed to that. I don't need it. I mean, there are people I know that have them as part of a collection that will be upset, but I don't care. But it needs to be done in a way that's legit, and that's not the area of focus. Other things need to be the focus in this topic, in my opinion. I mean, that's what everybody says. Why do we need assault rifles? But that's not the issue. Come on. So that's my thought there, and I like that you brought that up. It's just kind of getting the fire going here for another episode.
Yeah, we'll wait for our gun guy to come on.
Yeah, I think we'll probably do that in the next month or so. We'll readdress the gun topic. It keeps, honestly, the storylines keep happening.
Yeah,
I mean, we keep having issues where we talk about the guns, and so we'll keep doing it as long as it's something that seems relevant. So I think that's it. Whew, man, I feel like I'm worn out from that show.
Yeah.
I like it. Lots of good knowledge we've bestowed on our listeners tonight.
I need a more comfortable chair. My butt is always
Your butt's
killing
hurting?
me.
Okay, well,
I need something like a little massage
that
on my
chair
butt
looks.
the whole time.
Those chairs are nice, dude.
No, they're nice, but I guess sitting in it for 2 hours just really doesn't
Maybe a little
bode well.
pillow? You want a little pillow there?
Like a little donut, one of those
a little donut.
hemorrhoid pillows, maybe.
Or just, I don't know, just a little blanket that you could fold up.
Does one of your kids have one of those little round floaties I can just put underneath there?
I I don't know, but you know what? I'll brainstorm
We'll
here
find
because
that.
we can't possibly have my better half over here for the podcast uncomfortable.
Yes.
It might stunt your wisdom.
And I don't have much.
Well,
so
we want to make sure that we keep.
I don't
keep
want to
that
lose
flowing.
any that
especially
I have.
tonight. I mean, you came out tonight.
Yeah. We'll see.
Not that you didn't any other of the 12 shows.
You finally showed up.
No, you fired some off that. Well, usually at least I can kind of say, all right, well, I can see where I was expecting that to a point, but man, I didn't expect some of those things you were firing at me tonight.
Yeah.
It was good talk. I hope everybody else enjoyed it.
We'll see.
You have anything else to add?
I think I'm good. I'm out of wisdom for tonight.
You're out of wisdom? I think I'm out of wisdom too.
It's a good show, brother.
Yeah, good show, man. We'll see you guys. We love you.
Later.
Bye.
Ryan, I found out recently that the Philippines is not a cold-weathered country.
I could have told you that.
Oh.